from my brother's perspective, because it does happen fast, and it doesn't seem like it's happened fast to me because it's been a lot of freaking work.
Yes.
And it's been, I've had to live it. But when you look at it from the outside in, like my family looks at it from the outside in, and it's interesting how the dynamic changes, because literally I was the guy on the couch at my brother's house. They were supporting me.
Just 7-8 years ago?
Was back in, I left in 2009.
Okay.
So it was 14 years ago now.
Mm-hmm.
But now that I think about it, it's like, that just seems like yesterday.
Yeah.
But I was the guy on the couch, and they were supporting me, and I was the older brother, and they looked up to me. But, in a very short period of time, I decided to make that change and get the hell out of there and decided to do something with my life and start making some progress. And then it can happen really fast, because not a lot happened between 2009 and 2015. A little bit more happened between 15 and 18, where I started doing sales, and I was like, man, I could make some money. Mm-hmm. I was watching other people that didn't have all that much talent. Yeah. They were just applying themselves in a different way to make more money. Mm-hmm. And so then from 15 to 18, I started making more money than I'd ever made. And then I just really started turning it on in 2018, when I decided to really buckle down and make some scary choices that I never thought was possible. I, from 15 to 18, probably questioned it more than ever. Like, is it even possible for me to quit drinking?
Yeah.
Like, I can't even imagine my life without smoking weed and drinking.
Yeah.
Like, my entire life revolved around it. Mm-hmm. But it just gotten to a point where, man, I wanted to do more, and I knew I was capable of more, and this was holding me back. It was taking so much of my thoughts and energy every single day to go home early and start drinking, smoking pot, that I knew that I could be focusing that energy towards something else. And I never imagined that it would turn into what it has.
Yeah.
But as soon as I was able to just make those shifts, focus that energy in a positive direction, and start like pouring into my talents and abilities and what I could find some passion in, mm-hmm. Man, it happened quick. And then my brother's looking at like, dude, motherfucker, you were just the guy on the couch.
Yeah.
Like yesterday.
Yeah.
Seemed like yesterday. And they're not, they're not quite sure how to navigate that.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. I think there's a lot to unpack there. One with your brothers, it's like it exposes when you start winning. I was actually talking to this about my daughter, because my daughter just, she's doing really good at gymnastics, and she just got, they do it in levels or whatever. So, you learn certain skills, you move up to a certain level. She moved up to that next level, and she's already got 99% of those skills. And so she's almost ready to even go to the next level, right? And so she's like, Dad, some of the girls are just rude to me. And I'm like, well, how long have they been on that level? She's like, well, some of them like 2 years. And I go, well, maybe they're not necessarily meaning to be rude. They're just threatened, right? Mm-hmm. They're threatened because they feel like you haven't worked that hard, because you just showed up and here you are a month later, you're ready to go to the next level, and it frustrates them, right? But they're really not mad at you. They're mad at themselves. So I think sometimes when people start having a lot of success in a short amount of times, the people around us, our life is a part of theirs, and it makes them feel vulnerable, right? Like, hey, it really maybe exposes the times that they took weekends off, or that they didn't take the risk to start their own business or whatever. And so because they didn't take those risks, or because they didn't work, and it exposes them, they kind of feel they don't know how to respond to it. It challenges our egos and those kind of things. So I think that's
sure does.
Probably, I don't know for sure, but I'm guessing that's what happened to your brothers. I mean, same thing happened to me with my family, Uh-huh. And then all of a sudden, it's hard to navigate those times too, because then you're navigating a new challenge. We were talking about this, the problem solution challenge with business, right? Mm-hmm. It's like in life, you have a problem in life or business, and you have to create a solution. Then you create a solution. That solution usually creates a new problem. And this is navigating through life, right? So your problem was you didn't have enough money. You build a business was the solution. You start having a lot of success. Well, now you got a new problem of navigating, having a lot of money and, keeping these relationships good with your family, right?
Yeah.
Which isn't always easy.
It isn't, dude. And because I'd never gone through it, it's like I didn't know how to deal with it.
Yeah.
Just like when I had started applying some of these principles to my life that I'd learned from Cardone, I didn't know how to do that either in a tactful way.
Yep.
And I didn't do it tactfully.
Yeah.
And I was kind of abrasive about it. But over time, like the way that I talked, and I was pretty proud of the moves that I was making. So I talked about it a lot too.
Yeah,
sure.
And now I look at other people that are in a similar situation. You hear them talking a lot. And it's like, yeah, I imagine that's how I showed up for people.
Yeah.
Just like,
I think it's funny. I think there's that edge. Sometimes you just get that edge sometimes when you're on your game and you're focused, and that's how we learn, right? I mean, I was that way.
Me too.
I had an edge on me, and I was focused. And if you got in my way or were a hater, right? Instead of looking at it like you're talking about, I think, you just got to understand, they're not really hating you. They're just frustrated that maybe, like you said, they haven't chosen to do the work, and so we call them haters, but really I think they're just frustrated with themselves. They just don't recognize it sometimes because they know they could have done better, right? So we all have those haters out there. If you're actually making moves and you're actually going somewhere and you're actually getting results, and I don't want to say leaving people in the dust, so to speak, but that's kind of what happens, right? You start to make these moves. They get threatened. They go, what's wrong with me? And they think something's wrong with them. There's nothing wrong with them. They have chosen to do things different than you've been doing.
I think this is another thing that happens when, like one of the things you've done a good job of is bringing Chandel with you, right? Where a lot of people, they'll make a decision to go, like maybe they've been stuck, right? Title of your book is All In, Get Unstuck, Accelerate, and Go Further Faster. Someone will make a decision like, man, I'm sick and tired of being stuck in life. I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. So they go get better, and then their spouse stays the same. And then their spouse goes, well, you changed. Well, of course I changed. I was trying to get unstuck, right? I was trying to move forward. I was trying to make my life better. You expect me to stay the same, right? Yeah. Like, of course I changed. And so I think that you've done a great job of including Chandel in that process. And I know, like for me, that's one of the things that has helped is making sure that Kelsey was reading the same books, attending the same seminars, that we were doing those things together so that we were both growing. And I wasn't this reflection that she was looking into that was threatening her lack of growth, rather than we could do it together, which is just as frustrating, by the way.
It is.
Right?
And I've seen it multiple times. I'm sure you guys have seen it. As many people as you guys got exposed to that were going through those same exact things, but hadn't quite developed the communication or the buy-in to their relationship to keep it healthy along the way.
Yeah.
Because, luckily, it's always been a focus of mine to maintain strong relationships with my wife and my kids as I'm doing this, because I've felt it at certain stages start to slip.
Yep.
Early on in the business, my family never saw me for 18 months.
Right.
Like barely ever saw me.
Yeah.
And I'd started to feel it slip, and I could feel the tension and there's this animosity towards what I'm doing, and you got to reel it back in.
Yep.
And then that's when I really started doubling down on, man, I got to bring everybody with me.
Yeah.
What is the purpose of doing any of this and making all the millions of dollars
if you end up by yourself?
If I'm by myself and I don't have the most important people in my life backing me and supporting me and there for me when I get home.
Yeah.
When you start getting to a place where nobody cares that you got home at night.
Yeah.
That's not a good thing.
That's not a good thing, man.